Demons. Why do they exist? Can we find out as to where they come from, what they are, and what their intentions are with humanity? Let's take a look. Throughout the biblical canon, we have many stories of people receiving liberation from demonic possession. These stories may give us clues as to the purpose and origin of such entities. One such story is in Matthew 17:14 through 18, where Jesus cures a possessed child. This reads, "And when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man, kneeling down to him, and saying, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is lunatic, and sore vexed. For oft times he falleth into the fire, and oft into the water. And I brought him to thy disciples, and they could not cure him. Then Jesus answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him hither to me. And Jesus rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour." And sometimes more than one demon was said to have entered a person. This type of possession is found in Luke chapter 8, 26 through 35, and Mark chapter 5, 1 through 20, where Jesus in the country of the Gadarenes liberates a man from multiple devils, collectively called Legion, and casts them into swine. The man inflicted with these unclean spirits would dwell among the tombs. No man could bind him with chains or fetters, and he would always day and night live in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. This is an image of the land of Gadara where this story took place. These are some remains of ancient Gadara structures. You can even see the Sea of Galilee in the distance, where the 2,000 swine must have violently ran towards before choking on the water. Of course, there are many other accounts of demons in the Bible, such as another case of multiple possession found in Mark 16:9 and Luke 8:2, where 7 devils were cast out of Mary Magdalene. From just these canonical accounts of possession, we can see that these evil spirits, 1. Can inhabit people and animals, pigs, 2. Cause pain among the victims and afflict their minds, and 3. Are able to be cast away by Jesus. Outside of the Bible, what accounts of demons are there? One well-known story is the 1971 novel, The Exorcist, which was later adapted into the 1973 film of the same name. Many people don't know, but this novel is based on the true story called The Exorcism of Roland Doe. The real name of this anonymous boy was believed to be Ronald Edwin Hunkeler. He was born into an average German Lutheran family, and he was an only child. So how did this Ronald become possessed and require a series of exorcisms in his life? It is possible that his aunt could have had something to do with this. As it turns out, his Aunt Harriet had introduced Ronald to the Ouija board when he took interest. During the series of exorcisms performed on old Ronald, outside of the very normal occurrences of objects such as vases flying or levitating, and household objects seemingly moving by themselves, how did this alleged possession affect this boy? Well, as the story goes, during the exorcisms, Ronald had aversion to anything sacred, such as the cross, and spake in a guttural voice. Markings could be seen appearing on his body, such as the words hell and evil. And finally, after achieving liberation, he went on to live a rather ordinary life. Another modern account of the diabolical comes from a story told by the ex-chief exorcist of the Vatican. His name is Gabriel Amorth. In his book, The Devil is Afraid of Me, he disclosed his first solo exorcism took place in 1997. During the exorcism, as Amorth began the invocation and specifically asking for the help of Jesus, the victim fixed his gaze on Amorth and started yelling curses and threats to the exorcist. He also began to spit at him and had prepared to attack him physically. Only when Amorth arrived at the Latin prayer Praecipio tibi, which in English means, I command you, did the demon calm down a bit. There was screaming and howling from the demon within the victim. After continuing the rite of liberation, Amorth asked the demon to tell him his name and reveal who he was. Amorth was undoubtedly shocked when the response he received were the words, I am Lucifer. These personal accounts of demonic possession and exorcisms are a bit more detailed than what we find in Scripture. However, in both accounts, the demonic seem to behave in the same way by influencing or changing the victim into someone they are not. Here are a few theories known across the world regarding the origin of these wicked abominations. We will start with the Kabbalistic hypothesis. One Kabbalistic interpretation states that there is a metaphorical, or in some interpretations, physical female entity called a klipa. The Zohar tells us that the klipa came into existence on the fifth day of creation, described in Genesis 1:21. She is identified with the great sea monsters and multitudes of creeping beings that the sea brought forth. The Zohar mentions that the klipa later cleaved unto Cain and manifested to him earthbound flying spirits. According to page 85 of the Essential Zohar, it states that the first man, Adam, fornicated with female spirits for 130 years until Naamah came. Because of her beauty, she led the sons of Elohim, Uzzah, and Azael astray. This Naamah bore them many new klipot, the plural of klipa, which are evil spirits or demons, and they spread from her into the world. They are said to wander around during the night. Whenever they find men sleeping alone in their own homes, they hover over them and cling to them, arousing lustful desires and have offspring by them. This story is possibly where the infamous succubus and incubus demon legends originate from. Another non-Christian viewpoint of demonic spirits comes from Islam. These forms are known as jinn, commonly known as genies, which are generally invisible and made from smokeless fire of scorching wind. Now these entities are not innately good, neither are they innately evil, so some may regard the pre-Islamic ghoul spoken of in the Hadith as a form of jinn. The 72nd Surah, verse 6 of the Quran, titled Al-Jinn, says the following, And there were men from among mankind, who used to seek help from the men among the jinn, but they only helped increase them in sin. So now you have some knowledge of the Kabbalistic and Islamic viewpoints of evil spirits. What about the Christian viewpoint? Well, the most popular viewpoint in the modern church is that demons are just fallen angels that fell with Satan and are his minions. However, despite a viewpoint being the most common, this doesn't always mean that it is correct. We may never definitively know the origin of such entities, but we can speculate. I know what you're thinking. So what other theory could there be other than that these spirits are literally just fallen angels? Well, this theory was held in antiquity by the 2nd century ante-Nicene church fathers Justin Martyr, Tertullian, and Athenagoras of Athens, as well as the 4th century author Lactantius, and follows the writings in the book of 1st Enoch. This book has grown in popularity more recently, and rightly so. We will cover this in depth in future videos. The book of 1st Enoch was found within the Dead Sea Scroll fragments 4Q201-212 in Aramaic, and gives a detailed account of Enoch and the Genesis 6 scenario. 1st Enoch chapter 6, 1-2 reads, And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters, and the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. These fallen angels swore and bound themselves by mutual imprecations to take these daughters of men. In the days of Jared, 200 angels descended on the summit of Mount Hermon for this very lustful purpose. This was an antediluvian event, and according to Genesis chapter 6, 1 through 4, we read, "And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown." Now what do giants have anything to do with demons or devils? Well, I believe 1 Enoch chapter 15, 7 through 11, may provide the answer. "And now the giants, who are produced from the spirits and flesh, shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they are born from men, and from the holy watchers is their beginning and primal origin. They shall be evil spirits on earth, and evil spirits shall they be called. As for the spirits of heaven, in heaven shall be their dwelling. But as for the spirits of the earth, which were born upon the earth, on the earth shall be their dwelling. And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth, and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst, and cause offenses. And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men, and against the women, because they have proceeded from them. And rising up against the children of men and women on earth is exactly what is found in all accounts we've reviewed, especially the Gadarene man, possessed with legion. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any ideas on the topic, make sure to comment, like, and share the video, and subscribe for more interesting content. May the Lord bless everyone listening with strength, health, and courage, today and always.